to a fantastic start. My name is Somi, that's Somi, welcoming you to Hard Facts this afternoon. And as always an honor, always a pleasure to be here, taking you through the biggest conversations, some of the biggest conversations happening around the country. Gabriel hopefully should be joining me anytime soon. And we are going to be doing this together from now up until 7 p.m. And as usual, we like to start with the big three. What are the biggest stories you've heard today? We'll be sharing some of ours with you and hope you'll be part of the conversation as we get into the nitty-gritty of all the matters. That will take us till about 4:30, where we get into some other sound bites, hearing what else is happening around the country. And then by 5 o'clock, we'll take one of those conversations and break it down. All right, see if we can make sense of it together. We'll do that up until top of the hour, 6 o'clock. But right after the news break, we open up the phone lines and let you share with us from your own end what your reports are for the day. Okay, so yes, indeed, I hope that you will join us as we go on this ride. Also, be sure to join us on Facebook and YouTube, where we are streaming the first hour and a half of the conversation live on Facebook and YouTube. Go to Nigeria Info Abuja. That's Nigeria Info Abuja. Also follow us across all our social media handles as well. And follow us online, where we keep the conversations going real time. Let me also start by doing a quick check-in to see what it's looking like across the FCT for those of us who were having issues with the signal. I hope it's improved. Please let me know what the situation is around there, so we know where to tell our engineers to redirect their efforts to, just in case the signal hasn't picked up. And if you are still having that issue, also be sure to download the Nigeria Info app, right? And also, or go to www.nigeriainfo.com/Abuja so that you don't miss out on any of the conversations. It's good to be here. Good to have you here with us. And Radio's finest himself is also here. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, Somi. Good afternoon.
Give you a little while to catch your breath.
No.
Now, man, you've got this. Good to have you here, Gabriel.
Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Good.
How was your weekend?
Good. Very well, thank you.
I trust your weekend was restful. Mine was busy. Was it restful? Was it busy?
It's like that sometimes. Sometimes you rest. Sometimes you just continue to slug it out.
Right.
But either way, I hope you found time to get some rest. You were not feeling yourself.
Yeah, okay. It was. I came down with the flu during the course of the week, even though work has to continue. And
I can still hear it in your voice.
You can.
You're taking lots of fluids.
Do I sound nasal?
Sort of.
Okay, we're getting there. It's a gradual process.
Welcome. Thank you, Jay from Gariki, for letting us know that the signal has picked up considerably. Good to hear. Just to let you know that we will continue to do our best to ensure that you are getting us loud and clear. All right. But until that time, when all things are as right as rain, let's look at some of the big stories in the news today. Big stories. This one is rather interesting because I remember going through the reports and thinking, what a contradiction, looking at what's happening as far as the federal government and farmers, the people at the heart of production, coming out to disagree concerning the recent drop in food items across the country. By the time I was done reading the report, it pained me a little bit, because I was like, just hearing what is going on, especially at the end of the farmers and those in charge of production, then you would think, okay, so what then will benefit the average Nigerian at the end of the day? Because they seem to be having issues and not being able to recover what's gone in terms of production costs and all of that, because of the drop in food prices. Let's take a look at what the report says. Farmers and the federal government are said to have disagreed, or said to be in disagreement even currently, over the recent drop in price of food items across the country. Many farmers and their associations who spoke to Daily Trust cited what they described as massive importation of food items recently approved by the government as the cause of the price crash, which on the surface you think, yeah, so that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
No, that's not quite the case for them. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, indeed attributed the development to the various incentives introduced by the present administration to boost local production, saying it's not necessarily the policy on massive importation that has led to it. They say no, they've been doing a lot. The federal government has been doing a lot, to consider everything going on in the agricultural space and ensure that they're giving farmers a lot to work with to boost local production, right? But the farmers are expressing worries, saying the soaring cost of agricultural inputs, which according to them is making food production increasingly difficult, is clashing with what you're seeing with the drop in prices. Farmers said they had to hold on to old stock, hoping to sell at higher prices to cushion earlier losses. Now, back in September 2024, the government opened a 150-day duty-free window for the import of essential grains such as rice, maize, sorghum, and wheat. But the farmers are saying not only did this 150-day window extend beyond the prescribed time, but also they had other things coming in, other things being imported as well, all of this competing with local production. And so, it didn't just add up. The July to December 2024 waiver was aimed at reducing the prices of essential foods to provide relief to millions of Nigerians struggling with high living costs. And some Nigerians have come out to say, oh, yeah, prices of certain things are dropping. I mean, just yesterday, I read a report, Gabriel, that said that in Lagos, the price of rice had crashed, by up to 50% in some instances. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Lagosians will be very happy, yeah? And everywhere else, if, of course, you're experiencing this price drop, will be very happy as well. But the farmers are saying, look, we made significant financial investments into the production of grains and we're losing money. This is apart from the fact that there is high cost of agricultural input. And then when you have some of the things that they're producing competing with some of these imported products, it just translates to a loss altogether for them. The government has a different take on that, and we'll get into some of those details later on. But as far as right now, farmers are insisting that all you have to do is visit markets across the country and it will confirm the influx of imported food items, including things like starch and ginger, which were not among the things approved. And in states, price of foodstuffs, especially local rice, beans, guinea corn, maize, millet, cassava, and the likes, you see them crashing. But farmers are busy counting their losses and saying this whole importation thing is working against us. That, in addition to the high cost of agricultural inputs, and so they're having to hold off on some things to wait for prices to rise so they can sell, or they're losing altogether. And the amount of money that they're talking about losing, monumental indeed. Someone spending as much as 2.5 million and not being able to get up to $1 million.
More news and
so these are some of the concerns and the clash of conversation between farmers and federal government. But let's take this break. When we come back, we'll take more stories and get your thoughts.
University Lokoja has commenced admissions for the 2025-2026 academic year into its recently approved and accredited
three stories, and we started off the conversation with the one around federal government and farmers' disagreement over the price cost of, or the price of food, and the fact that it's gone down greatly, something which should generate the consumers. But the farmers are saying it's only the consumers that are smiling. We are busy here counting our losses. We're in agony. We can't stand it. They referred to a number of things being the key factors. One of them, the mass importation of food items, something which was supposed to be just for a specific period of time, but seems to have continued, and also had other items not on the list in it. And then they're also looking at the high cost of agricultural input. One of them, Mohammed Kabir Salihu, chairman of Maize Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State Chapter, was crying out that fertilizer that was sold at about 5,005 under late former President Muhammadu Buhari, a rather affordable price, they're saying, is now, almost twice that amount, if not more. Herbicides, which were sold at 1,005 to 1,007, now cost 8,000 to 10,000 naira. And even laborers have increased their cost, Urea is now going at 50,000, DAP at 70,000 per bag. And they're saying, how can we keep up? But at the same time, if people are saying the price of maize and all of this is down by a considerable percentage, in some cases up to 50%, how do we balance it out? Whatever we're seeing in terms of the price slash now, some would attribute it to the president's statement back there when he said, I think he put out a word, was it during NEC or FEC or something like that, and said, look, make sure that the price of food comes down. And some people say, oh yeah, this is definitely as a result of the president's proclamation. But the concern is, if there is this gap between the farmers and what we're seeing out there in the market that the consumers are getting, how do we then balance it? And can we hope to see this sustained price slash, or we're going to start feeling the heat because farmers are holding off on their harvest, waiting for the price to go up? At some point, they're going to try and, I don't know, the price is going to force itself. So it's going to get forced up somehow.
I think this is
a
warning.
There hope?
I think that it's a warning call. I do not know about a hope. We've had inflation on local staples in the country at different point in time. But I think this is a warning call to the government as regards the food market in the country. And I believe that if the government, this is how I serve out warnings. It makes me sound like a provost or something. This is how I serve out warnings to the government, because what I see here, I see a warning call. I won't be shocked between now and the next 2 quarters if things continue like this. I won't be shocked if farmers, different associations across the agricultural sector in the country, I won't be shocked if they go on strike or they call the government to critical conversation, because you see, what the farmers are complaining about is not necessarily the price crash, right? What they're complaining about is that the price crash is not commensurate to how much they put in as capital. Let me use the word capital. Now, here's what I mean. Now, sometime 2024, the government, in a bid, like you said, the president was, he gave a mandate, food prices come down, and that led to a 150-day import waiver on certain basic food items.
That was after the waiver. Even after the waiver, when he now made the pronouncement.
There was a conversation, yeah. That was because the waiver, the impact of that waiver wasn't immediate.
Yeah.
It wasn't immediate. And these are the things that, even though these are the things we talk about, Somi. We've talked about price regulation. There was a committee on price regulation as regards the particular waiver set up by, I think, the government at the time. But you and I know that there's so many things that play out in between that reflect, that ensure that people do not get fair prices, especially when we're talking about imported goods. People do not get, look at, for example, the issue of importation from China. Now, thank God for a certain philosopher, right? that says he's a very dark man, that says that if you convert a phone of one generation to the other one, which is the latest generation right now of a particular brand of phone, is supposed to worth about 2 million, 3 to 5 million naira. I'm not sure the price. Let's say 5 million naira. And he is saying that the copy of that particular product, the flagship, the recent, edition of that particular brand, the copy of that phone now, if you do not know and you go to the market, they sell the copy to you. They can sell it to you as high as the original, or if not, maybe the person is magnanimous, half the price, which is still into millions of naira. What he's telling you now, you can get it for 250,000 naira. That shows the disparity between what people import and the prices they give us here across board. Now, this is in gadgets. You go to different other, factors, areas rather. So my point is this: a whole lot of things happened in between. So we did not immediately begin to feel the effect of that import waiver at the time. But here's the thing that the farmers are complaining about. And that's what I'm going to direct my focus on. The farmers are now complaining and saying, see, what the government did, which is, let's say it's the real way, chua, uru to the answer. Was it innovative and creative? Yes. But is it it is the easy way out. The government took 150-day import waiver, a lot of goods came into the country. And over time, that's even the ones that they can legally, statutorily account for. What about the ones that are coming from the back door? Like we know of several, what's the word now? Smuggling practices. I have done an investigative journalist work rather, around Seme-Border. So I know, I stayed around Agbara for a while. I stayed around Aton. Aton is in between Agbara and Canaan Land, Winners Chapel, Canaan Land. Right? I've stayed in those axes before, and I know what goes on there. That is even my state of origin. So my point is this, that the farmers now are complaining that thing that the government did, which is the easy way out and not the hard way out. The hard way out would have been, first and foremost, ensure that farmers can farm adequately. But we have different persons, different personalities. We have a government, even though they do not say it out, that prioritize other things above agriculture. Prioritize farming above agriculture. These things create...
Farming above
mining, I meant to say.
Okay.
Mining above agriculture. These things create instability, insecurity in these regions. Ultimately, creating the displacement of farmers on a large scale. The amount of shortage of food, if we're to solely rely on in-house production, the amount of shortage we would have been experiencing, it is because there's a lot of buffer from importation. That is why things are still the way they are.
But that's even the bone of contention with the farmers. They're saying that the importation that the federal government is introducing, whether by form of waiver or whatever, is discouraging farmers from growing farm produce, and adding that importation of grains like maize and the refusal to subsidize farm inputs is what is killing farming.
Exactly the point. That's you are making my point. So my point exactly is this: farmers cannot.
What you're saying is the buffer they're complaining about.
No. What I'm saying is that I'm explaining what the farmers are complaining about. And I'm saying if the government, while we are enjoying the gains of the maneuvers the government did or they are doing, I don't know if they're still doing it on a quieter note, but if we do not begin to build on clearly we have not built on it. We have not built on it. Benue State has been ransacked this year. Plateau State has been ransacked this year. Jigawa State, Zamfara State. All of these states, you and I know, are crucial to our feeding in the country, food security. So the point here is this. This importation, which covered quite a number of things, I was just looking at the list here now. I can't even remember by offhand. I'll have to look at the list. Quite a number of things affected the local consumption, out of which, do not forget, the local consumption or production rather of farming here in Nigeria is not exactly cheap as well, because across other things, other items that goes into farming on a commercial level, there's still inflation.
So the biggest question I think is how does government then balance this out? Because the government, in their own wisdom, I think, said, let's have this importation waiver come in so that we're able to provide food, so that food is more readily and easily
let me
accessible.
Let me add.
And from the look of things, even cheaper for people to assess. But then it's biting seriously on the farmers. This is their biggest complaint.
Let me
here,
add.
apart from the cost of agricultural outputs.
Let me add.
Input.
One of the reasons why, for example, basket of tomato came down towards the end of third quarter this year is because of the harvest season. Basket of tomato came down, onions came down, ginger came down. It's because of the harvest season and the bountiful. That is the big. If not, we would not have even experienced the kind of crash in local staples, because this thing now only affect local staples. If you go to other
what do you mean local staples?
Like sorghum, millet, all those things, rice, the local rice, and the rest of it, tomatoes, all these things that we eat on a regular day in our homes. If you go to the imported goods, the prices are still quite high. A can of sardine, how much is it now?
But those are imported things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that even the import waiver is not sustainable on the long run, because those ones too are heavily reliant on dollars, because we are talking about importation here, reliant on FX. So the canned foods, how about we also ensure that we boost production here locally? There's nothing, we would not die if we begin to produce some of these things locally.
As far as I don't know about canned and processed foods, but as far as the other ones, the federal government says that from 2023 they went into massive production through the National Agricultural Growth Scheme and Agro Pocket Program. They said they injected a large volume, almost more than 500,000 metric tons of wheat, including maize, cassava, and all the other commodities that were promoted. And they said as at this year, they've had a marginal increase, which means they're ramping up production. So there's local production going on, if what the minister said is anything to go by. And he said now the volume of food that is produced is responsible for the drop in prices. So who is producing this food? Are they doing it outside of what the farmers are doing? Are there specific farmers that are doing this and benefiting from this? Because again, for me, the key thing is balancing it out so that we have something that not just the consumers are happy about, as reports are showing, I mean, unless the consumers will disagree, but that the farmers also, who are largely responsible for this, because even if a federal government were to do some kind of an intervention like the one that they just talked about, National Agricultural Growth Scheme, they can't do it out without collaborating with the farmers. So maybe they need to extend the scheme such that the farmers are also benefiting, because their biggest complaint, apart from the importation, is the cost of agricultural input, some of which the prices have been mentioned here. So it's about finding that balance locally first, I think, before we even start looking at other imported things, because even the imported things are vain for the farmers.
Let me circle back to where this conversation began from. The government is saying it is the intervention in boosting agriculture locally
yes,
that has led to the increase in production and the slash in price in local staples. The farmers are saying it is because there was an import waiver on basic staples that led to the crash in price, which coincided over time with a boost in harvest.
I mean,
that is at the
two truths
end
can
of
coexist, I think. I think it may be a little bit of both. Perhaps what the government is not doing
you are right.
Is providing transparency and speaking clearly on this their intervention. Because again, my question is, which farmer are they working with to do this intervention that you're having farmers complain?
That's a very beautiful question you just asked, because we cannot say the government is lying. They've said this is what we have done and this is the results we are getting. So maybe the farmers that benefited from the several programs that the government has done, that has let them come out. The ones that are complaining, maybe they are the ones that did not get part of the the whole arrangement. and that's why they are complaining. So if farmers are complaining, it clearly means that something is wrong somewhere. And this is the optim's time, Somi, since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into power. This is the optim's time that the government will say one thing. And I'm not, this is not castigating the government. It's saying exactly as it is. The government will say one thing, and those who are at the receiving end are saying something else. So it is a worrying pattern, to be honest. It's a trend I see, and I'm concerned because it's somebody is delusional somewhere, or somebody is being economical with the truth. Is it that the farmers are being mischievous by coming out to say that it is not the reforms and the intentionality to grow local produce that has led to this slash in prices and the boost in production? It is the other things that you did on the side that led to it. That's what the farmers are saying. The government are saying the economic policies that were put on the ground is what has led to us getting more food. So somebody clearly is not telling us the truth. Either the farmers or the government. But in my opinion, I would say that the government look at what the farmers are saying and begin to address it. I'm just looking at it really from just an observation standpoint, right? I'm looking at it, and I know the things that need to be in place for a country to begin to edge towards food security. And one of the major factors that must be in place is security. If we are still having farmers-herders clashes, we are still having banditries in these communities where food are grown, I do not know how a country can sustainably edge towards food security. I don't know what magic you want to do there. But we are here in the country together. We've seen the news.
Well,
so I'm wondering.
You're also aware that there's been a reshuffling in service chiefs. So
that one happened last week now.
Yeah, so maybe that's also in the drive to ensure that
one is a recent development. We are talking about so far.
No. You're saying if the government doesn't do anything about security, then we're not on.
Okay.
So I'm saying with the reshuffling, maybe the government is taking into cognizance the fact
I didn't know
that
you're speaking futuristically. Yes, perhaps the reshuffling of service chiefs would help. Maybe let's see what they are going to bring up, but let's see what they are going to do differently. Let's see.
And as we wrap up on this topic, I saved this part. This is the best part. I saved this part for last. Apparently, the minister, when speaking, said they were yet to release the food items that they imported. Just also to buttress the fact that they're saying it's local production. They said what they imported, they're yet to release. And he said this while answering questions from journalists during World Food Day celebrations in Abuja. And then another one that pretty much just threw me off balance. He said the government was aware of the impact of the drop in food prices and it was working to mitigate it. So they're saying also by this statement that they're acknowledging what the drop in food prices, the adverse effects is having clearly on the farmers because the consumers are benefiting from it, and they're saying that they are working to mitigate the impact of the drop in food prices. Like I said, it threw me off balance because I had to really take my time and look through that statement just to be sure. Is it that it is the impact on the farmers, or are they talking about the impact altogether? Well, all of that is left for us to...
The policy, the 150-day import waiver, the policy officially approved and came into effect from July 15, 2024 to December 31, 2024. So what the Minister of State, if I'm not mistaken here, is saying that from December 2024 till now, they've not released the imported goods.
That's what he said.
Imported food.
That is one.
Okay.
And then secondly, he said they are aware of the impact of the drop in food prices and they are working to mitigate the impact. Let's leave that to your interpretation when we open up the phone lines. But
okay.
Let's get.
I just hope the imported items have a good shelf life. They have a long shelf life. I just really hope so.
Or it's possible that they're also using the farmers' what's it called now, strategy, which is the ones that they had produced, the things that they had produced and harvested, they're keeping them in stock, waiting for prices to appreciate before they sell, because if they sell now, it's going to go at a loss. Because I didn't really understand why they haven't released the imported food items, but perhaps that might be the strategy. I don't know. It's left for
I
us
would
to
I would have
interpret.
loved to sit with the minister and ask her some serious questions, but
Well, there might just be the chance to do that.
I would look forward to it.
Okay. All right. Second story, very quickly before we go on the commercial break. The president of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Muhammad Suleiman, today said the federal government owes doctors and other healthcare workers across the country an estimated 38 billion naira in accumulated allowances. Suleiman said this during a press briefing in Abuja while presenting the resolutions of the extraordinary National Executive Council meeting, which followed the expiration of the National Association of Resident Doctors' 30-day ultimatum issued to the federal government. So they gave the federal government a month. The month has elapsed, and they are coming out now and to sing the same old song that we have workers and people on the front line usually singing when it comes to federal government and owed allowances and emoluments and the rest of it. Suleiman was warning that resident doctors have already begun ward rounds and patient handover ahead of the planned nationwide total and indefinite strike, which they're saying will begin on the 1st of November 2025. Suleiman also explained that the outstanding payments, that is in excess of 30 billion, are not limited to resident doctors but affect all cadres of health professionals, including administrative personnel. Said there are allowances of over 2 years. There's 18 months, there's 7 months, there are 4 months, and there's another of 8 months. And there's also allowance error that is over 10 years old. He also said there's a failure to review even the basic salary of doctors who have been serving for up to 16 years. That's up to 16 years without a basic salary review. For instance, in the outstanding 25 to 35% consolidated medical salary structure review, he said there is accoutrement allowance for all doctors in the health sector. And for the healthcare workers, he said, I think the outstanding owed is between 35 to 38 billion naira. If it's just resident doctors, he says we're talking about over maybe 400 million. But for all doctors in Nigeria, it's between 600 to 800 million. By the time you add all the healthcare workers, that's when you're heading to the billion. Beyond the unpaid benefits, he noted that the doctors have suffered stagnant salaries despite rising workloads and worsening staff shortages in the health sector. And the NARD president said the association has presented 19 demands to the government, describing them as minimum expectations required to prevent the total and indefinite strike by its members. So they've had 5-day warning strike, which held between 14th to started on 14th of September for 5 days. They had an annual general meeting in Katsina State, graciously extended a 2-week ultimatum given to the federal government by additional 30 days to address the 19-point demands. And this 30 days is what has elapsed now. And of course, you can expect that they are having a very difficult time just making sense of why there is no effort, no considerable effort to ensure that their concerns are looked into. So they're saying 1st of November, that's this Saturday, if nothing changes, for another total shutdown. 38 billion naira in allowances.
Somi, I think we should just go and let's just listen to callers on this matter. I don't like the sound of my voice anymore because we've said the same thing over and over again. I don't know. It's sad. It is what it is. Like they say in our local parlance here, it is what it is. Do the resident doctors and all medical staff have the right to demand for arrears owed in the tune of $38 billion? Naira.
Mm-hmm.
Is it naira or dollars?
Naira.
38 billion naira.
Yes.
That's not a lot of money.
Stop it, please.
No. What I mean is not a lot of money, not on the part of the doctors. I mean on the part of the government.
Okay.
If we calculate $150,000 multiplied by the team of the AFCON staff, the WAFCON, I meant to say, the women, the Super Falcons, all the players and the technical staff, the coach, the assistant coaches and all of it, they calculate that amount.
What does that come to?
I can't remember. I know it's $50,000 for each player. But I'm very sure if it's not more than, it's going to be very close. 38 billion naira.
$50,000 for each player?
$150,000.
For each player?
Yes, now. Abi, it's $150,000.
Sure, we are not mixing this thing up.
No, I'm not mixing it up.
Okay, but let's focus on the naira. And as it concerns
$100,000,
I
can't remember.
Leave that one. Let's focus on this one.
So,
and let's think about it in naira terms.
Yeah.
Perhaps you might say it's not a lot for the federal government.
Let me clarify. Let me clarify that statement.
Okay.
What I meant is this: if the government are intentional about clearing these debts across, but not just resident doctors, because if you now begin to look at different sectors, everybody's being owed. I do not understand a government, not this one now, because they'll be quick to say this one happens under the PDP, happened under former President Muhammadu Buhari and the rest of it. But the point is this: I would never understand it how governments owe its workers and expect them to. It negates the law and principles of labor. It doesn't make any sense. It happens in the private sector too. But how you cannot owe people consistently, expect them to perform optimally. Their growth is stunted, their revenue is stunted, and in the period, expenses and expenditure have increased significantly. Before 2023, when the president came to power, how much are we buying petrol? How much are we buying it now? So the prices have gone up. We've said these things over and over again. So that's why I said I don't even like the sound of my voice anymore.
I understand you. I completely understand you. So we're gonna open up the phone lines in a little bit, and we'll have to do that after the break because we have shortly about 30 seconds left thereabouts. Interestingly, I remember just scanning through the messages before the show started, and someone had written in to complain about how his friend in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was sent to work outside the country last year, but is having financial challenges because the Nigerian government is not paying them their salaries and other allowances. And according to what he says here, because the CBN said there is no money. It's all a huge joke, really and truly, when it comes to paying the Nigerian workers and what is their due. But we'll come back and look at your responses after the break. Stay with us. Issa Chiroma, who obtained 35.19%. And the results were officially declared today, although the election held on October the 12th. He's 92 years old. But now, with this win, he extends his decades-long rule and will continue to lead Cameroon for another 7 years, bringing him roughly to about the age of 100, which, of course, he has been and will still continue after this win to be the oldest serving head of state with his next tenure elapsing in 2032. Now, this happened despite strong support for Chiroma among Cameroonian diasporan communities. Bia's domestic lead proved decisive. Voters across Europe gave Chiroma 62.79% of their ballots, while Bia received just 22.63%. In the Americas, Chiroma secured over 60%. Also in Asia and the Middle East, over 60%. He was leading. Even in parts of Africa as well. But as far as the Constitutional Council, they emphasize that the winner is determined by the total number of votes cast across the electorate, not regional or diaspora tallies, which I think is instructive, especially in view of the fact that some of the discussions going on in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, looking at diaspora voting, this just makes my eye, it just makes me think, okay, if we're going to be really serious about that, we need to make sure that the Constitution also provides for it so that we don't have things like this happening. Because this is massive support from the diaspora community. And I recall that even the Cameroonian youth went to the streets. They took to the streets protesting, all of the things, the drama that happened when it was looking like Bia was about to emerge. But here we are, this happening despite calls for political transition in Cameroon, where critics have long accused the ruling party of stifling opposition and manipulating electoral processes. However, the government maintains that the elections were free and fair. So, this is the final story. Let's go and take the news very quickly. And then we will get into your thoughts and contributions right after that time. Stay with us.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
The current FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, as sole administrator to complete what they described as his first tenure before a governor is elected. Still in Abuja today, despite efforts by the FCT administration to tackle illegal activities of scavengers, popularly known as Babambola, residents of the territory have expressed concern over the growing cases of theft. A community leader in Gwagwalada, Charles Ndupu, noted that some criminals now disguise as scavengers to move freely and commit crimes. He said they often go unchecked because of their rough appearance and the large sacks they carry.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Thank you for listening. More news comes your way at 5. My name is Dorcas Atinokiagbeja.
Let's talk about the biggest conversations made of trustworthy ideas passionately connected to
stories that we have shared. And if you're just joining us, let's just run through them very quickly. Farmers and the federal government disagree over drop in food prices. That was the first story we shared. And the second story, federal government owing health workers 38 billion naira in allowances. This is according to the National Association for Resident Doctors, whose 30-day ultimatum to federal government has elapsed. And they are saying, come 1st of November, it's going to be a nationwide shutdown. And very quickly on the international scene, we talked about the fact that 92-year-old Paul Biya has been re-elected after 43 years in power. You own this time now, so let's hear from you. 07 00951 0000 009 597 4869 and our WhatsApp 009 993 0137.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify. I made reference to the Super Falcons that were promised. It was $100,000 for the players and 50,000. Yeah, no, individual player.
Okay.
It was $100,000. So all of that money is about $2.6 million altogether. All of the money promised to the entire team, including the coaching.
What does that come to in naira?
In naira, about $2.9 million. I beg your pardon. About 4.6 billion naira.
Okay.
So it's nothing close to 38 billion naira.
Okay.
I mean, so I just wanted to put that out because I made reference to it.
Yes, you did. All right, let's hear from you. Remember to keep your contributions short and to the point. Hello. Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Somi.
Good afternoon, Uncle. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Sorry? Donatus, your network is not cooperating today. Your network is not cooperating today. Can you move around and call back, please, so that we can hear you clearly? Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel Fisher, President. I'm calling from Duse.
Go ahead, sir.
Let me quickly react to Cameroon election. What happened there is a mirage, and I continue to say, instead of wasting taxpayers' money conducting election that you know somebody is going to continue to reign in that position, why not keep this money and invest in human capital development instead of wasting it printing papers and all of that, conducting elections? Even Nigeria now, right now as we are talking, the coming election has been circulated as this person is going to be the winner. Why in Africa are we getting it wrong all the time? Who will deliver this Africa? Why is black man mentality like this? Must Pobia die on seat? Come on. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Apparently, he has said, till death do us part. Yes, it is an African thing, apparently. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, welcome.
My name is Adola Victor from Lagi.
Welcome, sir. Go ahead.
I want to advise the federal government to try as much as possible to advance the choice of these medical doctors on November 1. And let them continue to dialogue with them and do the issue. Government has money now. There's no excuse or excuses from the government. Let them settle these medical doctors and other unions too. The polytechnic, the college of education, the pensioners, the civil servants, and other unions too. Let them resolve the issue once and for all. We are tired of strike, general strike in this country. Then as for Pobia, where it is now clear that man wants to die in office, old man like that, he's supposed to go and rest, but he has decided that he wants to die. Let him die in office. Whether he like it, he will die there, because nothing is permanent. Whether he like it. So let him continue to hold on to power by gradually manipulating constitution to say his father. Old man like that, he's supposed to die and rest, but he says he wants to die in father. So definitely he's going to die in power. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move over to WhatsApp. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, welcome.
Sorry, I have to run away from the radio, sorry. My name is Mike when wind blows.
Welcome, Mike.
Yeah. If you ask me, Somi, is it the respecter?
Yes, welcome, Mike.
Okay, greetings, See, these things we'll talk about. So let me start from the resident doctor strike. Say how many billions are they owing them?
Over 30 billion.
Okay. If I ask, say, for what period of time, maybe we might not have that information here.
No. It varies according to the report. It varies. It's all health workers, not just the resident doctors. So, depending on who you're speaking to.
I'm not talking about who. I'm talking about for how long have they been owing this one for it to reach this amount. That's what I'm saying.
The report said it varies. Some up to 10 years, some less. Go ahead.
Exactly. Now, we leave doctors go to answer their own since 2008, 2009 agreement. They never pay. Am I right?
Some of them, yeah.
The reason I'm going this way is because the issue of strike, like the other caller said, we're not going to achieve anything with strike in this country. Because when you are going to strike against people who know what they're doing, it's like you trying to wake up somebody who is pretending to sleep. Not be by strike. It is about the fraudulent process that people get into our offices. The fraudulent leadership recruitment process that our most honest commander-in-chief, the late Umar Musa, confessed to. Look, if we don't address it, nothing will happen. When the fellow was talking, I know the fraud. Like, we don't hear for Cameroon now. Somebody who, even the daughter come to say, look, don't vote for my father, he is tired. Now, they come and tell us he don't win. So me and the respecter, and all of us who are listening to ourselves now, Nigeria's turn is coming. I just got off a conversation with somebody who was telling me there's no vacancy in National Rock in 2027. I said, look, me, I don't want to even talk about who win the election or who don't win the election, because I don't talk about the election that's not yet to be conducted. The same way I don't play football bet games. A game that has not been played, they say who will win. I don't do it. But my interest is that fraudulent process, how people get into that office.
Okay.
That is what I'm interested, because I was there at Eagle Square when Iradua made that confession. Even in the night at the banquet hall, I was afraid. We said, make military come take over, do something, make we don't bomb this place. So I was afraid that night. So until we address that fraudulent process, because when people fraudulently come into our governance space, they will never do our bidding.
Okay.
And it is only people with criminal minds that can go say they want to come and rule us fraudulently. And like Peter Obi, one of them said, there's no criminal that will see what he can steal and leave it behind.
Thank you, Mike.
That is our current reality.
Thank you, Mike.
Good afternoon.
All right, then. Good afternoon. On Facebook, Sixtus Igbo, we see you. He says he's watching live from Fatikwe Street, Balogun Street, Alagbadu, Clem Road, Adura Street. Wow, streets and streets. Hafsat, we see you. Thank you so much for your message. And also Francis Namani, always staying in touch from Enugu State. Thank you so much. And happy birthday to you, sir. Happy birthday indeed. Good afternoon.
Hello, Sonny. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry, I just tuned in now, but I really want to ask one question, and this question goes to you directly, Tony. Maybe there's something you need to tell me that I don't understand. If somebody steals something, and he acknowledges he's the one that has stolen that and is with him, and the person did not give it up, what does that make a person? Is that person supposed to be seen as a role model?
You tell me.
Huh?
You tell me. You tell me. Go ahead, finish your thoughts.
If somebody steals a property and he's still in possession of that property and he confesses that he's the one that has stolen it and is not willing to give it up, am I supposed to call that person an honest person?
Tell me. I don't know. It depends on you. People think differently.
So, from what I just explained now, because oftentimes people they call Yaradua, he acknowledged that the election that brought him to power was stolen mandate. It was not right, and yet he did not resign. And how am I supposed to see that person as an honorable person? I mean, maybe I need to maybe in my mind. I don't know how we feel in this part of this world, honestly speaking. But to me, that's an aberration.
All right.
It sounds victory, yes. That's just what I want to contribute here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Anthony.
Welcome back, Donatus.
Thank you. Keep someone calling back to keep me. I just want to ask a question. Is building house to judges, is it a constitutional right? Buying cars to the National Assembly members, is it a constitutional right? I think the member of this APC party answered this question. If they are constitutional right, it's also constitutional right of doctors and nurses, lab technicians, and the rest of them, you understand, to receive the allowances. I didn't see the reason why you buy a Jeep worth no less than almost 400 million, 350 million to one single person and you are owing. You understand? You borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow and you are owing. You remove subsidy and you are owing. You understand? Then automatically you're a failure. Automatically, if you win the election 2027, it's a fraud. You understand? You have been discovering money here and there, and you cannot use that money, you understand, to pay the debt that you are owing. Why? Because these people, when they talk, you will say no work, no pay. What are we not saying? We all have conscience. I think we should judge ourselves by our conscience.
All right.
God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll take one more call and then go to WhatsApp. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
This is Ima on the line.
Go ahead, Ima.
We talk about this, the farmers that are complaining.
Okay.
Ima,
are you there?
yes. I want to ask a question.
Go ahead, please.
People to be buying a noodle of beans for 3,000 naira. And a small yam, maybe small yam for 1,500, 2,000 naira. Is that what they want? They don't want the price. These are greedy human beings. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not sure I got anything there.
Oh, he said why the farmers complaining that do they want the price of mudus and yams and things like that to go up? That they shouldn't complain, he said. All right, let's take some messages on
but
WhatsApp.
their production cost has not reduced.
There's a disconnect somewhere.
Yeah, production cost has not reduced. Fertilizers are not exactly cheap. Some of them, even though there's some import and some machinery, but their production has not reduced significantly. So they are not there because
The
of
production has reduced.
no
because
the
their output
production cost has not
has not
reduced.
reduced. Okay.
Yeah, so because of the saturated markets of imported goods,
The federal government has said the imported goods haven't gone into the market.
well, that's what they're saying, but they are saying we are not making lots of money to even cover for what our production cost is.
They're losing, is what they say.
They are losing. I'm losing here.
So there's a disconnect.
Exactly.
And it's about balancing it out so that whatever we're seeing in terms of the crash in food prices can be sustainable. It shouldn't be a flash in the pan kind of thing. But let's look at messages on WhatsApp.
All right. Good afternoon, Somi and Gabriel. I'm in the maker from Kadmo. On Cameroon elections, you will not hear anything from ECOWAS concerning the fraudulent election conducted in Cameroon, but once the military intervenes and takes over, ECOWAS member states will be on top of their voices, shouting on how the worst democracy is better than the military rule. Good afternoon, guys. I am Baba Fever from Kabayi. This is the kind of leader Africa produced. 92 years old man. Okay. All right. Join Maraba says, please don't blame Paul Biya for his re-election. Blame France for aiding and abetting electoral fraud in Cameroon. Joe taking it to a different dimension entirely. Good Mike from Wusitu. Good afternoon, Nigeria. If it looks like there's a total confusion in Nigeria right now, why will farmers complain if food items are cheap in Nigeria? I will understand if they ask government to work towards bringing the prices of farm input down, corresponding to the drop in food prices. Whatever the government does to make food affordable to all Nigerians is welcomed and should be appreciated at least. I think we should not support farmers on this one. Besides, food is still not even cheap because a loaf of bread I used to buy 700 naira before it went up to 1,008 is still 1,800 till now. So where's the reduction? Mike from Osetu sent in that one. Good afternoon, Somi and Gabriel. On Biya's re-election as Cameroon president, what is so sweet and special in this corridor of power that our ancestors in this part of the world, Africa, don't want the younger generation to take over from them? What are they even leaving behind for the generations to come as legacy? We're not expecting anything different over here in Nigeria come 2027. May God deliver us. Joel from Kabusa. Greetings, Barrister. Okay, this is not for us. Somi and Gabriel, I don't believe the minister. Jay from Gariki says. Okay, quite a number of messages Jay has been sending. Let me start from this one. Somi and Radio's Finest, we haven't scratched the surface of agriculture. We don't provide affordable inputs. No provision is made for storage and processing. And most importantly, like the serious nations of the earth, we don't buy food from farmers at a rate that they can make a profit. In other words, all serious nations subsidize food, but here our farmers are on their own. They still have to battle terrorists and Midianites on the farms to add to the travails. Okay. And then Jay goes on to say, Sumi and Gabriel, I don't believe that minister. Maybe they want to use what they imported for campaign next year. We better use our tongue to count our teeth, because tomorrow, same minister will say different thing about the food imported since last year. And this is the thing I don't like about speculation. It had to take the farmers to complain before the minister, in answering some of the complaints of the farmers, to mention that, okay, we actually imported some things, but we never bring them out yet. So what are these things? Why are they still being kept? To what end exactly? Because you see, now, Jay, in all innocence, is already putting two and two together. And when, I always say this, when a government is not forthcoming, proactive with communication and transparency, it leaves room for speculation. And you cannot stop people from running whatever ideas that they cook up in their head. Really, because you are to blame for it. Honestly speaking. Anyways, here's another message from Israel. It says, I wouldn't be on the side of the farmers. They had their good times, took advantage of the harsh economic policies of Tinubu and exploited Nigerians. Some hoarded their produce. Even a rural market woman would inflict price of bitter leaf on you, telling you that the price of dollar has increased. Let them use the excess profits they made to balance up. But another aspect we must also look at is that prices of industrial products should also drop significantly to enable farmers meet up with the demand. Israel, the first part of your message, you're not, I mean, you're quite, it's quite...
Allow Israel.
Yeah, no, I
allow Israel to Israel.
I allow. But you see, the second part, I think, is the crux of this conversation. As much as the first part is true, so two truths can coexist.
What again, let's
so the first one, he was talking about that
took
farmers
advantage of the harsh economic policies of Tinubu to exploit Nigerians.
Exactly.
Which policy exactly?
So let me give you an example. For example, when the president came into power and then mentioned that fuel subsidy is gone, right? Across board, right from petrol stations, the ones that had it, immediately the president mentioned in less than 1 hour, more than 70% of stations across the country changed their prices.
That wasn't farmers. What did the farmers do specifically?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
All right. So also in the market, the people that already had bags of rice, because before I go and buy another one, if I sell at the old price, I will not be able to buy another one again. You know, that is not exactly their fault, to be very honest. But the point here is this. We know that we have a bad habit of inflating prices arbitrarily. And that's what Israel was trying to point out here.
You're sure?
No,
You're sure that that's what he was trying to point out?
No, that's what he was trying to point out.
Okay.
No, you see now, he said that even a rural market woman would inflict price of bitter leaf on you, telling you that the price of dollar has increased. That's what he's saying. So what I'm saying here is this first part he mentioned is true. It's correct. But the other second part, which I'm glad he also highlighted, is that the prices of industrial products should also drop significantly to enable farmers to meet up with the demand.
I don't have time. I would have liked to get into what the exploitation is exactly, because if you were to go by that logic, then, as he said, everybody should feel the brunt of it, because the exploitation was across board. If you could truly attribute what people were doing or what acknowledge it to be exploitation, but it was across board. I like the fact that you started with the filling stations or petrol stations. So if we're going by the logic of what he said, and I'm saying that because of what he said right after that, it was pretty strong words. That's why I didn't want to get into it. Allow Israel to Israel. Where he said they had their good times. I don't know that anybody experienced good times.
I don't know about good times
as a result of the policy directions. You know, if it was harsh, it was harsh. It touched everybody.
I don't know about good times. That's why I don't know about.
So that's why I said just allow him to be.
I don't know about good times. But you see, the part about people inflating prices arbitrarily, we've complained about this thing several times. Small petrol changing petrol price. Fiam.
Is everybody. Let's take a break. When we come back, maybe we'll take a few more calls and then we'll
someone tell you that onions has increased because of dollars. What has that?
Africa is all connected with Turkish Airlines flight.